Welcome to Faces of Fleet, an interview series from Work Truck, where we take a more personal look at the many interesting people in Fleet and some of the experiences that help shape them into who they are today. Before we get started, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss an episode. I'm Lauren Fletcher, Executive Editor of Fleet Trucking and Transportation at Bobbitt, and today I'm chatting with Terry Enlow, Senior Client Partner, Growth Initiatives at ABA Technologies. Terry's been in the fleet industry for more than 15 years, most recently joining ABA Technologies at the start of 2023. Like most of us in fleet today, there's a bigger story to tell though. When scrolling through LinkedIn, I learned that Terry has a very important role he holds around the winter holidays, and I just had to find out more. So, welcome, Terry.
Thank you, Lauren. It's great to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. So, first, let's share a little bit of background for our audience. So, often, our past makes a big impact on who we are today. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started in the fleet industry?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I've been in and around fleet for about the last 15 years. So, and mostly in a consultant type role where I've been brought in with large organizations, mostly global Fortune 500 organizations like AstraZeneca, Pfizer, companies like Skanska, GSK, Takeda Pharmaceuticals. These are all companies that have large fleets as well as manufacturing and sales and a number of other components of their organization, R&D. So I've worked in all of those sectors across all of those organizations. I've lived overseas for a number of years. So I've had the opportunity to work with global fleets and global organizations, doing everything from succession planning to leadership development to leader as coach, um, team effectiveness, and those types of things that organizations are always struggling to fix.
So, really, that management side of fleet that everybody has got as a part of their jobs and roles. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. Mhm.
So, I understand you also play another really important role during the holiday season, that of Santa Claus. So, how did you get into that line of work and what do you really enjoy about it?
Well, it's interesting, portraying Santa was never a planned event. It wasn't something that I aspired to over the years. It was one of those things that was by accident. About 7 years ago, I made the choice to start growing my beard out, because I could grow one. So I'm like, well, I wonder what this will look like when it's done. And over those first couple of years, people would look at me, and I would see children just stop and look at me as I'm walking down the street or standing in a Starbucks. I would see, friends of mine going, I think you could pull off Santa. I mean, I was hearing this on a regular basis over and over again for about 3 or 4 or 5 years. So I made the decision to give it a try one time. My local Starbucks, where I stop on a regular basis, about 3 Decembers ago, said, Terry, would you be Santa for us for 2 hours for hot cocoa with Santa in our store? I said, okay, sure, I'll give it a try. And it was magical, both for me mostly, but for the customers and everything else. And they offered to pay me a week's worth of coffee for free. So, and anybody who knows me knows that Santa, the sleigh, runs on coffee.
Well, I think we've learned something today. Santa's sleigh is fueled by coffee, a new untapped market. Um, you mentioned that it was memorable for you. What was maybe a particularly memorable moment from when you've been Santa Claus?
So I will say this was my first year as a professional Santa Claus, where I've actually sought education to become Santa. And one of the things that when you're portraying Santa, you get all different types of ages, and they all react differently. From the 2-year-olds are very scared of Santa, and then you have the 8-year-olds that are skeptical, and then you have the 4-year-olds that are like, oh, they're mesmerized. But you also have this group of children that are autistic as well,
Hmm.
right? So the most, I'd say, the thing the most relevant joy-filled moment for me this year was and when you're autistic, there's sensory issues potentially, there's auditory issues potentially, there's tactile issues potentially. So we've learned that there are different ways in which they interact with you as Santa. So you ask the parents, which type of autistic child is this? So that was when just asking the mother of this child, made them realize this is a different experience,
Mm-hmm.
that you know what you're doing. So that, seeing her feel like, oh, I can explain this to you. And then once I found out that it was a tactile type autistic child, giving them the ability to let them touch my beard,
Oh,
to
wow.
feel what Santa's beard is and that type of thing. And what transpired was I got the tiniest little smile out of this child who rarely ever smiles because it just the emotional piece just isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And they were able to snap a photo that gave the mother the treasured Santa photo she was looking for. And that was it just, and there were many other types of memorable events, but that one stuck with me this year.
That's so heartwarming. And I think, it's really a big part of life in situational leadership and learning how to interact with different people in different ways, and that not everybody works the same, thinks the same. And I think that's a fantastic thing to be able to do, from working with small children to the adults in our working world sometimes. So that's fantastic. Um, Kind of on that line, how has this role really influenced your approach to maybe customer service, interacting with people, clients, colleagues? Have you learned anything from this in your profession?
I have, as a matter of fact, and it's a great question. The one thing about being Santa is you have to be fully present at all times.
Hmm.
What's interesting is there was one event where we had it was 5 hours of sitting in the chair, and you could see the line of children waiting to see you. And there were times where there weren't people in front of me getting their photos. But I knew that no matter what was happening, the pictures were still being taken. They were still looking for my reaction. My cheeks never hurt so bad after 5 hours of continually smiling and being fully present. And that's the thing. And this is the other too. You can see 600 people in a 5 hour period because it's a
Wow.
person a minute sometimes. They need to get these photos done. And you're saying the same thing 500 times, but these children and these adults and these teens that come see you, you have to say it as if it's the only person you've seen that day. So you have to be fully present and you have to be on all the time. That's something that I think it can carry over to what we do every day, right, with our customers.
You know, what other lessons have you really learned as Santa that you've been able to apply to your work in Fleet and over at ABA?
Well, one is preparation. Prior to an event, if it's a family visit, learning a little bit about the children before you go in to see them. What are their likes? What have they done this year that's made them, on the nice list? And being able to go in and be prepared to have a conversation and have them look at you as if, oh my gosh, you know me, you
Mhm.
know us, right? And that the same thing with clients. As you go talk to a client, what have you done your research? Do you know what their business is? Do you know what kind of work they do? Do you know what their challenges are? Have you looked at their annual reports? Do you know what the CEO's focus is? These are the kinds of so preparation is really critical, right? Patience. Patience was something, you encounter criticism and skepticism all day long as Santa, right? At ABA Tech, we're just learning to handle that gracefully and try to figure out how we can be and improve at all levels, right? So that's another one. I think the customer experience, being Santa is creating a magical kind of event for uh, customers or for people and children. How can we make that paramount for our clients at ABA Tech, right, in the fleet industry? I think reliability and trustworthiness is really critical as Santa, right? I mean, we have to get background checked and we have to be insured and those types of things. But can we be that way in our business life as well, right? How do we show up that way? I think branding and image. I mean, I think that's really critical too. The iconic red suit, the white beard. It's a strong brand, right? And how do we make a consistent brand in the fleet side from a safety perspective or from the ABA Tech perspective where we work, um, and also teamwork. I mean, Santa doesn't get it all done by himself, right? I mean, he has a team of elves and reindeer, and Mrs. Claus is the COO of the organization. She makes sure that everything runs smoothly and gets done on time. AVA Tech has an amazing team. I've met amazing teams in the fleet industry that are all dedicated to, the ever-changing landscape of fleet. Conferences I've been to, I'm hearing about change on a consistent basis. So, it takes a team to execute that. So those are some of the key learnings I've had that kind of translate from being Santa to, my daily life.
I love it, Terry. And I've got a 9-year-old daughter myself, and they are very critical. But that magic when they come home and she looks at me and she goes, I had the real Santa. I know ours was the real Santa this time. It is. It's magical. It creates a world, and it's got to be really difficult to do and to really keep that magic going. And so, as a mother and somebody in Fleet, thank you for everything that you've been doing for our kids and for our industry.
You're very welcome, Lauren. My pleasure.
Terry, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me and share a little bit about your passion and your personal story. I know it's not every day that I get to interview Santa Claus, so thank you very much.
You're very welcome, and it was a pleasure. And you're always on the nice list, Lauren.
Fantastic. And for anyone interested in learning more about AVA technologies or for more episodes of Faces of Fleet or Truck Chat, make sure you check out the links below. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Hit that like button and comment below to let me know who I should be chatting with next. Be on the lookout for more episodes of Truck Chat coming soon, where I'll continue to focus on the people and the issues that matter most to work truck fleets. Till next time.